So here we have my three current favourite art mediums: Posca pens, watercolours and alcohol markers. Today I'm going to do 3 different draw this in your styles in these 3 mediums and see how they come out. Kia ora everyone, this is Hey Johanna. Today I'm going to be doing 3 different drawings in my favourite art mediums to see the difference in my style when using different materials. I've also got some Indian ink over here which I might use as a black liner for the artworks, but I'm not sure. I'll just have to see if we end up using that or not. If you're unfamiliar with Draw This in Your Style, it's quite a popular event that people participate in mostly on Instagram. Usually when a user reaches a sub count, they'll post an image of an artwork with Draw This in Your Style in the caption or on the artwork itself and with a custom hashtag to go with it. And then you can submit your own version of their artwork using the hashtag, and the original artist can go through and look at all the different styles and all the different submissions that everyone's posted. I really love doing Draw This in Your Style when I don't know what to draw or if I have no inspiration for a piece, because it gets me warmed up, it gets me starting to use the materials, and it just gets me into the art zone. It's a really great way to improve and strengthen your art style, so I really recommend doing Draw This in Your Style occasionally. You know, if you don't know what to draw, then that's the perfect time to do them. The thing is you're not just copying a piece directly, you're looking at it and you're taking elements from it and you're reworking it in the way that you would have done it. So it is just a really good way to strengthen your art style, see how you would do things. It's a really great exercise. So I found these 3 illustrations on Instagram under the hashtag Draw This in Your Style. I've printed them out as a reference for me, and I will have their Instagrams linked below, and you should definitely go and check them out if you want to see the original artworks and also the other awesome stuff that they create. Okay, enough talking, let's get into it. So I started out with the Posca pen illustration. I made this really hard on myself by picking the most detailed piece to do in my Posca pens, which are not necessarily known for being a fine detail medium, but the colours that I own in my Posca pens matched that one best. I just had a lot more pinks and a lot more bright purples and everything, so I decided to do it with the Posca pens. I think the most difficult part of this was figuring out how to shadow the piece. I only had really bright and really vibrant colours, and in the end I used a lilac colour for the deep shadows, which actually worked really well. I loved the effect, I love how it came out. And I left the more finite shadows flat, which is a style. It's not one I usually explore, but you know, I do as the Posca pen guides. Ultimately, my only issue with this piece is that the Shiba Inu in her lap looks more like a cat, and not even a good one. I could have drawn a cat. If I was going to draw a cat, I could have drawn a cat, but it just looks like almost like a soft toy or something. By the way, I'm sorry for my head popping in and out. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something when I was doing this, and I think I was just a little bit tired and I was leaning more over my drawings than normal, so yeah, that's why that's happening. I think I was also not wearing my glasses for some reason. I tried shading her face a little bit with that dark purple, but it was just too intense, so I ended up leaving it flat, and it's fine. It came out looking fine. Like I said earlier, it is a style, and I do quite like it. It's not one that I usually experiment with, but possibly I should do it a little bit more, especially if I'm going to be working with my Posca pens a bit more. Second, I did my marker drawing, and this was like a breeze for me. I forgot how comfortable I am with markers now after, 5 years of using them. I struggled immensely on the Posca pen one and the next one, as you'll soon see, but I zoomed through my marker illustration because, I don't know, I was just so comfortable with my tools. The only thing I was worried about was the skin colour. Now granted, the skin colour takes up about 80 or 90% of this piece. The thing that I struggled with was I don't normally use dark skin colours. The colours I have in my Winsor & Newtons never really felt right, and I've been building my collection of browns recently as I felt this is the hue that I'm lacking in the most. But to be honest, I was just scared because the only times that I've tried to draw dark skin tones, I've failed so spectacularly. It's turned out just awful and weird, and so I was scared, but this drawing turned out absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favourite marker drawings that I've ever done, and I'm just going to have to do a whole lot more dark skin tone characters from now on because I absolutely fell in love with this character. I fell in love with these colours. I just think it is so beautiful. I can't believe that I was so scared to do this when this is now one of my favourite things to do. I forgot to record it, but the moons and stars on her shirt were done with Posca pens. I just couldn't resist it, so it's not 100% markers, but it mostly is. finally I did my ink drawing. Now you're going to wonder soon where the watercolor is. Well, I did do this illustration once in watercolor and it turned out so bad that I nearly cried. To be fair, it was like maybe 4 a.m. when I started painting it, and this wasn't because I had a deadline to meet or anything. I literally couldn't sleep, so I got up and started drawing a bit, and it turns out that my fatigue actually was affecting my art because that piece just had to be thrown away. It was so bad. So after a couple of hours sleep, I resketched it and started over. Now I noticed in the first piece, the watercolor picked up the pen liner that I was using and bled it a little bit. So for the second piece, I started with the Winsor & Newton Black Indian ink, which is now my new favorite medium. It's just amazing. It's so fun to use. It's so easy to work with. It can be watered down for varying tones, and a single drop goes so far. It's next to impossible to pick up the ink off the paper once it's dry. I was just having so much fun with it, I decided to do the whole piece in ink. And while it is sad that it's missing some of the depth from the colour that made the original artist's work so cool, I've absolutely fallen in love with this piece and in love with this ink. Also, I thought I'd mention I'm using 100% cotton watercolour paper I got from Amalfi in Italy, and holy shit, it's incredible. I'm never ever going back. It's such a shame that it's so much more expensive, but I totally understand the hype now. It's so much nicer to work on. It feels like a quality material, and it just seems to hold the water better than, even 300 GSM papers. In the end, I did add a tiny bit of colour for the magic stuff in her hands, at least to say, hey, I tried with the watercolour, but honestly, it doesn't really add much. I'm still thrilled with this piece, and I'm going to be doing a lot more ink pieces in the future because this was the one that I had the most fun with for sure. So here we have the 3 finished artworks. I think that they turned out pretty good. My favorite is the marker art one. I think that I'm just slightly better at using them, slightly more experienced with them. I actually really love this piece because I don't often draw really dark skin. I feel like the dark skin tones that I have are not that great, but this was using some of the darker skin tones and I think she turned out really gorgeous. Like, I'm definitely gonna do more darker skin tones from now on. But I also really like the Posca pen one because it's just a little bit different from my ordinary style and it's kind of cute and so bright, and yeah, I really like that one. All in all, I think that one turned out pretty good. And then obviously there's the ink drawing, which was supposed to be a watercolor one, but I got a little bit carried away with the ink, and I actually really love this one. I think that it turned out so beautiful. I love the different tones that you can get with Indian ink, and I just had so much fun doing this one. I'm definitely going to do more artwork like this in the future because I loved it so much. I think the most interesting thing about doing this draw this in your style in 3 different mediums is that it's still my style across all 3 of these pieces, but you can see that the way that I use the medium with my art style changes slightly between the Posca pen and the alcohol markers, and even a little bit in the ink drawing. Of course, as an artist, you're always building on your style. You've never got one so solidified that it's never going to change, and that's the same with mine. I don't have a completely rigid art style yet, which is probably why you see so much difference in these 3 pieces. Maybe it would be stronger if I had a slightly stronger art style, but I'm working on it for sure. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you lasted through the grind of these 3 different time lapses. Again, link is in the description for the original artist's work, and you should definitely go and check them out. Kia ora everyone, have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye! By the way, for anyone wondering, this is the ink I used for the ink drawing. I cannot recommend it enough. Its staying power is amazing. I could not lift it no matter how hard I tried, and believe me, I messed up and tried more than once. Winsor & Newton ink, recommend it, but make sure that you get the black Indian ink and not the liquid Indian ink, because the liquid Indian ink is like the calligraphy ink, which is made up of those ground particles, and this one is not. So this is the one I used, not the liquid Indian ink. I'm going to try really hard to show you this. The liquid Indian ink kind of separates. As you can see, there's like the oily stuff in the top and then the ground up stuff in the bottom. And when you mix it together, it creates the ink. So this is what it looks like, liquid Indian ink, and this is not the one I used. It smells really earthy, so that's how I remember, and it's non-waterproof. So if you want to use this ink, it's the black Indian ink, not the liquid one.